It's a movie from 1994 called Clifford, directed by Paul Flattery, starring Martin Short and Charles Grodin. The plot of this film is a bratty 10-year-old boy is obsessed with visiting a dinosaur-themed amusement park. His uptight uncle takes the wily Tyke in for a week and barely lives to regret it. And the premise of this film, which I have to explain a little bit, is yes, it's about a kid, 10-year-old boy who's like his bratty boy, but that boy is played by Martin Short, who was 40 years old at the time. And the interesting thing about this performance and the tone of this film as well is that that's not the joke. It's not like those Wayans brothers, like White Chicks or Little Man, where the joke is it's a grown man playing something that he's not, or those Adam Sandler movies where he's playing, in drag or what have you. The movie plays it totally straight. It's not about the fact that it's a grown man playing a boy. And I stumbled across this movie on television. It bombed in the theaters, so it's probably very cheap and easy to pick up the licensing rights for. It was Comedy Central. We're a family with cable, and I watched a lot of cable TV growing up. Comedy Central was one of my favorite channels, even as a young teen. So this would have been like mid 90s, and just absolutely like loved the movie. It really nailed my sense of humor, very weird and offbeat, but with this heart in it too. And I immediately, like every time it was on, I'd watch it, and then I exposed my older of my two sisters to it, and she immediately fell in love with it too. And it's our sense of humors are very similar, maybe a little different than the average American suburban kid. At the time, a little more sarcastic, a bit odd. We had consumed a lot of the same media on television, especially old sitcoms, a lot of British television. So we kind of bonded over the oddness of this film, very, offbeat humor of what this movie was. We both then got to have a similar love for Martin Short, love his, Jiminy Glick, all different performances in all these different films, and to this day, we're still, quoting Clifford to each other. Unfortunately, when Charles Grodin passed earlier this year, we both would, watch the film and would send memes back and forth about it. And it's a movie that some people have heard of, some people have seen, but every time it comes up in kind of a conversation or I have a chance to pitch it to someone, I just do think it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but it's such an odd movie in terms of what they tried to do with it, that it just, again, it feels like a secret handshake between the two of us. Really, like my older sister more so even than my younger one for this film. That it's not, again, it's a movie that no one really has seen, that we both really enjoy and can have that bond over. So I'm curious if you've seen or even heard of this film.
Oh yeah, heard of it, seen it
Great.
in bits and pieces, but a while ago. So I feel like I should go and watch this movie again. And the reason is because we as a family, and especially my sister and my mom, are huge Martin Short.
Oh, nice.
People. And I think our entry gateway to Martin Short was through Steve Martin, which makes a lot of sense. So yeah, a lot of these movies, Father of the Bride, and even the Netflix special that they did a couple of years ago, we watched it so many times. So yeah, we love both of them in different ways and together. So yeah, I want to kind of go back and watch this movie just for that reason. I'm curious, was it just a sense of humor part that kind of bonded the two of you over this movie? Or is there something about the story or the subject matter of this movie as well that kind of touched you or spoke to you in a way?
I think it was more on the oddness of that approach of, again, it's a grown man playing a boy, but the movie is not mentioning that. None of the jokes are about that. And you really do get lost in this performance of him, as you really do think of him as a 10-year-old boy. And the oddness of that, I think, is what, for me, like initially attracted me to this film when I came across it, as you stumble across something on cable, it's in the middle of the movie. You kind of like, what the hell is this? And then you start watching it. That's what grabbed me initially. And that's also what grabbed her into it. And I think it would have been something easy where if we didn't share that sense of humor or reverence, someone could easily be watching this for 5 minutes and like, what the hell is this? This is so bad. Like it was one of the, at the time, worst reviewed films. I think they filmed it 4 years before it even got released because people were like, what are we going to do with this thing? Like it was just such an aberration. But that is, I think, what I like about it, and what she likes about it as well, that it is something that's kind of different, offbeat, and not really well loved or talked about much, that we can kind of share that admiration.
I love that.
Hey there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I cover a topic around important people, places, events, and moments in our lives, and then explore it through 3 of our favorite movies. Subscribe right now or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.